Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Shah. I'm a branding and web designer based in the UK, and I also run a digital marketing agency where we do branding or website, socials, anything creative basically. So if you want to go check out those socials, I'll link them down below. But today I'm going to be talking all about Shopify, and I know that I haven't really discussed Shopify in a whole lot of depth in my YouTube channel. I probably talked about them here and there on my vlogs, but never a dedicated video for Shopify. And because majority of my work now is Shopify websites, I thought that it would be fitting to do a whole video dedicated to my process. So I'm going to cover everything there is to do with my personal workflow. You like fancy, classy. Starting off, as I mentioned, I start off any project, regardless whether it's Shopify, whether it's website branding, whatever it is, with a discovery call, just to make sure we're on the same page and we're the right fit. So they will either book this in through my website, or they'll reach out to me via social media and ask me to book in a call or show their interest in a service, and I will send them a Calendly link where they can book in a call with me. To do this, you don't really need to have any software. I mean, preferably you would have some sort of booking software linked up to your website. Otherwise, you can just easily communicate via email and schedule something in via Google Meets. The majority of my clients actually already have their businesses set up, they've got a website already, and they're moving to the next stage and wanting to up-level their website. So I ask them questions about their pain points on their current websites, what they really want changed, any features that they're needing to have, the number of products, the number of collections, just so I'm aware when I make my quote how long this process is going to take for me and how much work is going to be required. So I ask them all of these questions. I also ask for inspiration websites, which is very key when understanding what they like. So I'll get them to pull up some websites on the call and walk me through the website, what they like about it, which sections that they're drawn to the most and why. And then also some sites that they've been on that they don't particularly like. Sometimes they don't have these examples at the top of their head, but I make them send them to me in a following email after the call, just so I'm aware. But also we cover all of these things in another phase, which I'm going to jump to in a little bit. If I feel like we're a good fit and they feel like we're a good fit, I will move on to sending them over a proposal. So the proposal is a PDF. It's got a little bit of information about the agency. It's got the breakdown of the package that I recommend for them and what is included, as well as the pricing breakdown. And I also include payment plans. So I have 3 main payment plans. So one of them is pay in full, which requires a 10% deposit to book in the start date. And then on start date, you pay for the whole project in full. The second one is pay over 4 months, and the third one is pay over 6 months, but that requires an additional fee. So those are the 3 main payment plans that I have set up. Majority of people just go for 1 and 2. I do like to include payment plans just because I know not everyone can afford a whole lump sum in one go. So spreading the payment out over 4 to 6 months really does help them. After payment plans on the PDF is also some previous work, and I do try and tailor the work to the kind of industry that they're in. So for example, if it's a beauty brand, then I'll put in some beauty brand websites that I've worked on so that they can get a better understanding of what I do. But I also like to tell them on the discovery call that we don't have one specific design style, and we really cater the design to their business and to their branding. So yeah, that is basically the proposal. I send that over to them in an email after the call. I'll let them know on the call as well when they're going to be expecting this proposal, whether it's the end of the week, the start of next week, just so that there's a deadline in place, and also I know that I've told them a certain date, so I know I need to get it done. I mean, these proposals don't really take me long to do at all because I've got the template already and I've got the packages and prices already set up. So I just need to go and put them into a proposal. So also in the email that I send them along with the proposal, I'll let them know my next start dates, when they can start their project, and I'll also let them know the next steps. So also put in there, let me know if you want to get your start date booked in, and I can send you over the next steps, which will be contract and invoice. So I give them some time to respond, and then I'll follow up maybe 3 days after if they haven't responded yet, just to check in and see if they've read through the proposal, if they have any questions. So next stage, once they've said yes, I want to proceed, then I will move over to Dubsado. So I have a love-hate relationship with Dubsado. I find it a little bit tricky initially to set all up, but at the same time, I have had feedback on how clean it looks, how the design looks when I send it out to clients. And it does really elevate the whole client experience. So for that reason, I do love it. And I don't know if I would be able to run the business without it, because if you don't know, Dubsado is a client relationship management software. So what that means is, for me, it sends out proposals, it sends out contracts, and it sends out invoices. It manages things like payment plans, payments. So I don't really have to think about anything to do with that side. All I have to do is, when a client says yes, they want to proceed, I will set up a contract for them, which I already have a template of. So I'll just copy the template, change the details for their contract. I will create a copy of the proposal that I sent over, so it's got their package and the price, and I'll set up their payment plan within Dubsado as well. So I link all of those together under one project. I send off the link to them. So when they receive the link, they'll see the information about the package. They'll have a little bit of information about the timeline, what to expect, some FAQs, and then once they've accepted that package, they'll move on to the next page where they've got the contract. So they'll read through the contract, sign the contract, and then the next page will be the invoice. So the invoice will be split up by their different payments. And another thing that I really love with Dubsado is they have auto pay, which means that the client pays one time, so this initial first time, and then you set the payment dates for the next 3 payments, the next 2 payments, the next 6 payments, whatever it is, and Dubsado will automatically collect and take that money out of their account on the same date every single month. So you don't even need to worry about chasing the client for payment, because that is already taken out. They're made aware of that as well when they make that first payment. So yeah, that is how it works on Dubsado. I might actually create a whole in-depth video about Dubsado, just because it's its own beast and there is a lot to talk about when it comes to Dubsado. Okay, so once they've gone ahead and signed their contract, they have made their first payment, I then set up their client dashboard in Notion. And again, I have a whole template of this, so all I have to do is press copy, and then it will duplicate a whole client dashboard for me, and I'll go fill in their details, change some images, their logo, and then give them their own timeline within Notion as well, so they know exactly the timeline of the project, when they can expect things to be done. And this is also beneficial for myself as well, because I know when things need to be done by. I'm breaking down the whole project into small little bite-sized chunks, so I can keep myself accountable and they know exactly what's going on. And I just think this helps with the overall client experience, because they're not wondering what is happening. They can just refer back to the timeline and say, okay, this is in progress right now. Next week, I can expect that the project is going to be at this stage. And then I have things like the questionnaire. So I make them fill out the questionnaire before start date. So make sure that this is done. If you have to chase them to make sure it's done, then chase them. But this will just help you understand their likes, their dislikes, more information about the business. This can help with things like copy, titles, headers. So make sure that you don't skip the step of getting more information from them through the questionnaire. Having all of that written down within a questionnaire that I can refer back to really does help. And you'll also realize when they're doing the exercise of filling out the questionnaire, more things come to mind for them, so they're able to give you a bit more context and information. So I've got the questionnaire within the client dashboard. I've also got a folder where they can upload their branding and upload their content or copy for the website. And then I have a section for the sitemap, the themes and apps, which I'll go into in a little bit. And then I've got a place for their designs, for their tutorials that I will be uploading after the project is complete, and then a space for them to leave a review as well. So basically everything to do with the project is stored within Notion, so both me and the client can access that very easily. And in terms of managing the client communication, I recently have had some clients requesting to create a Slack channel and speaking that way, or I still have clients that prefer to communicate via email. So I have both options open, and it doesn't really bother me doing one or the other. So when I'm setting up the client communication, I'll also request access to their Shopify store. So they usually have a 4-digit code that you need to be able to request access to their store. So I'll ask for that 4-digit code, request access with all of the different permissions that I need to work on the site, and then they will accept that request. And then I have full access to look over their site, look over their apps, look over the theme that they're currently using, just so I can bring that knowledge into the next phase. Okay, so once they've filled out the questionnaire and I'm ready to begin work, I will either at this stage have another kickoff call with them, and I'll do this because there are things I need to clarify within the questionnaire that were kind of different to what we first spoke about on the discovery call, and I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. But otherwise, if the questionnaire is kind of looking exactly like what we already spoke about, I will then just jump straight into the sitemap, the themes, and the apps. So basically what I do here is I create a kind of plan of how the website is going to be structured. So I go with the home page, the product pages, collection pages, the cart, about page, contact page, any other page that is necessary for their website. But I do this mainly with the core pages, any page that is going to be needed on their website basically. So what this is it's not a design, it's literally just blocks of text with what the section is going to be and ideas of different sections or features within the site. So this just gives them an idea visually of how the website is going to flow and allows them to think, okay, I'm missing this feature, or I don't really like how this is positioned here. Can we move this somewhere else? And it just helps me when it comes to the design phase to know exactly where things are going. So that is the sitemap. And what I do for the apps is basically create a list of different apps that I would recommend to install on their website based on the different features that they want. So if they really want to increase average order value on their cart, I'll recommend some app installations that we could add on the cart to do that. And if they want to include some sort of shoppable video content, I'll recommend apps for that. Same thing with like a subscribe and save feature. It's very kind of unique to what the customer needs. So I will create a list of different apps inside the Notion template that I have for this. And then lastly, I move over to themes. So with Shopify, I offer semi-custom websites. So what this means is that we have a base template from Shopify, which I will recommend. And then from there, we create custom sections or customizations of the sections in the theme to make it feel very customized to the brand and doesn't feel like a standard template. Basically, I go off of the inspiration that they have sent me, and then I go through the different themes on the Shopify store and send them maybe 3 or 4 options that I think would really work and a bit of context as to why I like this theme and why I have chosen it. So with this, I remind my clients that this is just a base theme, not to look too much into the branding because each theme has its own branding. So I remind them that things can be customized, things will be all done to their branding, their colors, their fonts, their style, and that we can also make customizations to any section. So make sure that is clear, but for them to look at things like product pages, collection pages, and things like the cart, blog pages, because those are kind of things that are part of the theme, which we can customize slightly, but those kind of features that are set on the theme are kind of set in place. So those things we can't change around too much. That is the first initial phase where I group together the sitemap, the apps, and the themes, and I wait to hear back on the feedback on those things before I move over to the next stage. So the next stage is the exciting part, and it's probably one of my favorites, and that is the design phase. So I forgot to mention, but the sitemap I create in Figma, and I do the design in Figma as well. And I'm sure if you have watched any of my videos, you'll know how much I love Figma. What I do now, because it is a semi-custom website, they've chosen the theme that they like, I will go into the theme. I have like a test store that I have on my development site on Shopify. So I'll open that up, load up the theme on there, and just take a look at all the different sections that I can choose from. And then I can replicate those sections on Figma and add my customizations onto the design. And that way I know exactly what section I need to choose when I go into development for the different sections on the design. Sometimes there will be a section that I want in the design that is not in theme, and then that's when we'll create a completely custom section that will be custom coded in the back end. This stage I do the core pages again, so I don't really go into the pages where I'm not going to touch too much in terms of customization. So these things like policy pages, like the blog pages, the contact pages, sometimes I don't even do unless they need a specific requirement on the contact pages. So I really focus on the home page, the product collection, and cart. And then I also do about page, and sometimes they have extra pages like how it works, where it's like a landing page about how the product works, and some more additional information. So depends on what they need, but I only kind of stick to those core pages usually. And then within this design phase, I usually have 3 rounds of back and forth revisions. Sometimes we don't even need that. Sometimes we just need 1 or 2 just to get things perfect, change around some images, change around some copy, and they are ready to go and sign off for development. So once we get into the development stage in Shopify, they've given me access to authorize app payments. I will go in and upload all of the different apps that I've suggested and they've signed off on. Otherwise, I will resend them the list and say, can you please install these apps? If there's anything that they need to log into, for example, Instagram, TikTok apps, I'll get them to log into those before I even begin. So I get those apps out of the way, so I'm ready to begin designing. So obviously we input the theme that we're using, and in my packages, I cover the cost of the theme, and I just take note of how much themes usually are and include that into my pricing. You could do this differently. You don't have to include it in your pricing. You could let them know that the price of the theme is going to be covered by them. So once I've installed that, I go and upload all of those different sections that I can. And obviously, because it's a semi-custom website, there will need to be some customizations, which will require me to go into the back end and edit the theme code file. I feel like with the different courses that I've done, I've gotten better at this. I know how to do some customizations here and there. I can recommend a course to you called Standout Shopify, which I have spoken about multiple times on this channel, and I highly recommend it if you want to get into coding and Shopify. I'll leave that linked down below. But I'm also aware that people are faster than me when it comes to coding. So I have a developer that helps me with specific customizations, especially if they're very in-depth customizations and require a lot of custom coding. I hand that off over to my developer because he knows better than me in that aspect, and I'm more than happy to hand things off where I know it can speed up the workflow and timeline. So for the most part, that is how I manage customization. Sometimes it won't require a developer at all and I can manage on my own, but for things that are more kind of intricate and animated, then I will get my developer to come and help me. I'll also set up all of my different meta fields. If you don't know what meta fields are, they are basically, you know, when you see a product page and there are things like ingredients or details, materials, and they've got like different sections underneath the product pages. So obviously those are going to change for different products. So setting up meta fields allows you to create dynamic content so that that content changes depending on what product is being shown. So that is all set up through Shopify. You have to set up the meta field and then change those on the individual product pages so that when it comes to the product template, it will show up dynamically. And then once all of that is set up, all of the products set up, the pages are set up, the customizations are done in the coding, then what I do is I keep testing. I test for a couple of days at least, and I make sure I go through every single page, through every single link on every single page. I test the product pages, the checkout, make sure everything is running smoothly. And then once I'm happy with it, I'll send it over to the client for approval. And to do this, you can create a preview link where they can view the website as if it's the live website. And I know people might ask, are you able to design the theme on their account without changing their current website? Because I wondered this when I first started. If you've used Shopify, you'll know, but there are different themes that you can work on without touching the current theme that is currently live. So you'll do all of your work on a development theme, and that won't touch anything to do with the website. If you do, however, work on information to do with the products in the product backend, that will change how things are looking on the current website. But I try not to do that too much. If there's anything that needs changing, I will leave that to the launch day and I'll explain to my client, look, I can change this now for you, but it's gonna update it on the current website. So are you happy for me to do that, or should I wait until launch day? So sometimes they won't mind either way, but it's good to just clarify things with them so that you don't mess anything up on the current website and they're unaware. Once the client has seen the website, there are often a couple of tweaks here and there that we need to attend to. So once we've done that, then basically the site is ready to launch. Once launch day rolls around, I make sure I keep an eye on the website. I do a test checkout myself. I keep an eye on their sales. I keep an eye on their conversion rate just to make sure that there is nothing going wrong on the website and all is working as it should be. Kind of dedicate this launch day to making sure everything is going smoothly. And then also after launch day, I do offer 30 days of maintenance support. So this basically means if anything is going wrong on the website, if there are any bugs, if there is any issues with the apps, I come in and help them out. I won't be doing anything design-wise in this phase. Like if they need a new section put in, if they need a new page put in, they'll have to pay extra for those services. But also after launch, I'll prompt them to leave a review. I'll send them the link to the section on the Notion dashboard so that they can leave a review for me. That is the process from start to finish. I feel like I've been talking for the longest time now because my throat is hurting, but I hope that was helpful and it gave you some insight into how the Shopify process works. There are probably things that I could elaborate on in each different section, and I could make, you know, a whole video dedicated to one of those things. So I might end up doing that. If there is anything that you want me to go further in depth on, I can do that as well. But I hoped that this video gave you kind of a deeper insight to Shopify and if you were to offer Shopify as a service yourself. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up down below. And I will see you in my next video.
Feel it in my soul. Feel inside my sacred body, taking no control. Feel it in my holy. Sacrifice me, the curse I'm holding.